Today's guest is Heceliza Perez, who is a Reiki and Intuition teacher, as well as a breathwork and sound healer. Basically, after leaving her corporate job in fashion advertising in New York City, she became a serial entrepreneur while living in countries such as Bali, Mexico, and Costa Rica, where she spent time connecting with the land, the culture, and traditions of the people. Right now, she empowers others to release what no longer serves them, embrace the unknown with confidence, and embody their most empowered and authentic selves. So, Heceliza, thank you very much for being on. How are you doing today?
Hi, thanks for having me, Josco. Doing well.
Good. You're very welcome. I'm excited to dive into all of this stuff. And I know even just from your bio, you're generally in a, very supportive role for other people. So, um, anything else you wanted to add to that bio that you feel like is relevant? I mean, floor is yours for that.
Yeah, well, currently I love working with businesses to bring wellness in the workplace using all the modalities you listed there to help management teams, leaders, um, you know, deal with the stresses of the workplace, but then also boost their morale and productivity. And also now, as a Reiki teacher, I am this year focusing on my group program courses to teach other people to be their own healer. A lot of my work is about empowering others and putting it, into your hands that you are your own healer, you are your own guide. It's all within you.
Love it. Well, I know you're spending a lot of time supporting and empowering people in those capacities. So, how do you feel like I can best support you today?
Yeah, it's interesting that, yes, you say I spend a lot of time doing that. And I think when it comes to my own self, in terms of this is still, I'm lucky because I found something that is, I'm truly passionate about. It's like what I believe is my life purpose, a gift that I want to share with other people. But at the same time, it is a business. And with that, I have an objective to scale so that I can keep doing this work and bring it to a larger scale, bring it to more people. And within that, when I'm doing the work and I'm doing a healing on people, I'm teaching other people how to be their own healer. I'm in it. I'm in that, like, that is where I love being, but it's the other parts of I am a serial entrepreneur, but it's that part of now it's because I am my personal brand, getting me to show up as this, as who I see myself, this confident person who has a business and to take it to scale. So there's these things that I'm still working on, my own limiting beliefs that are kind of tripping me up there.
Got it. Okay. So I know we spoke briefly about these things prior to starting the recording. I know there's a bunch of stuff you offered in the recording. So I'll throw some of the notes that I had with regards to what you wanted to dive into today, and then we can kind of sift and filter through what is most relevant for today. So you talked a lot about, okay, I got to show up as my own personal brand. I got to show up confidently, which oftentimes is different than like, especially for people making the transition from corporate. It's like, well, I represent this other product, this other brand. So it's got to do with me, but just my skills to like do it. And oftentimes when the spotlight shifts to the individual, there's always this like, ooh, but now it's like people aren't rejecting the thing, they're kind of rejecting me. Right. So I'm just throwing this out there in case that is something that is relevant to you, because it oftentimes comes up in these sorts of visibility type conversations. I know in your application you mentioned about playing small, having a fear of rejection or failure, disappointment, and how that puts you in like a freeze state, and then I avoid that long enough, then it kind of gets me into this hustle, panic, I got to get the stuff done mode. So it seems to me kind of like you're always in this energetic feast and famine based off of what the situation is calling from you. So I'm just curious what lands for you with that, and anything else you wanted to add to it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's because I am serial entrepreneur, I've worked with so many brands that have products and written about sections where you don't even have to, if even if I, was the one manufacturing the product, I didn't really have to focus the about section on a person. And then this is really me, right? I'm the package, the service. And that also using, I think the part about being seen is not just in networking and when I in a community or in live telling people what I do, but social media has played a big factor of that where I'm not one to talk to the camera, be the face and things like that. But I know it's such a great tool to get a reach. And I think that's also a big part that plays into the fear of rejection and trying to play bigger on that channel, essentially,
Okay, got it.
or show
So
up, you know.
yeah, so I guess for you, your definition of playing big, or rather playing small, is I'm playing small with regards to how much of my magnificence I allow to shine. Like, is that accurate for you?
Yeah, that, yeah, kind of sounds it. And I notice it not just in that, but in, I don't know if that's a personality trait of like, in general, I just don't share a lot about myself. And even other big wins in my life, I'm not one to like say it. Like if I'm in a dinner with friends or anything and everyone's sharing about them, like I'm not like, oh, I got, promoted, or our house got, I bought a house, or I don't, things like that. So it's just always been something, and special, but now I'm noticing in business it can hinder me a lot.
Got it. So it's kind of like the distorted version of humble. Like I'm not like humble to the point where like I'm just kind of like in tune with reality and like I know, where I stand in terms of skill set or whatever, but it's like I'm using this idea and it might not be conscious, but I'm just saying it kind of plays out like I'm humble to the point where like I shrink.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's coming up for you when I reflect that back?
I don't know if it's being taught to always be humble and that stems from something else. Like, when I was younger, to not be, don't be a person that boasts and brags. Just, yeah, be like very humble. But now it's, how can I do that and let people know what I do, if I don't talk about myself? And
Right.
let people know that my services and I'm there to, and it's to help people. It's not about, I don't know, another thing I'm trying to brag about.
So don't be a person that boasts and brags. So that was something that you grew up
I guess
with.
now that I'm like thinking about it more of just, stay humble, stay quiet, don't bring attention. Also, like, that was a very household where my mom's like, don't bring attention to yourself, just fly under the radar.
Right. So not only was that kind of repeated for you, but was there also like negative consequences when you did boast? Like you were judged by people close to you, or were there like threats, like somebody's gonna like think we have money and they're gonna steal? Like, what was the kind of opposite end of like when you did boast, what were the consequences?
I don't know if I did boast, but I think it's, if I did, then having other people look at me like, who does she think she is?
Okay.
And I, now looking back, it's like, well, I don't, shouldn't have cared about those people. It would have been the people that were happy for me, or, supportive.
Right. Well, I mean, all of these things are always like intellectually understand this makes no sense, but I feel like I can't actually let this go. Like as much as it
Yeah.
intellectually doesn't make sense, it's kind of part of who I am. It's part of my identity, right? So it
Mm.
seems that the origin of all of this is actually to some degree not even yours.
Hmm.
Okay. So what's coming up for you there?
Yeah. I'm just drawing a blank now of like realizing this is a lot of it from younger years of what I was positively reinforcing to myself as this was the way to be, survive, and not have anything negative happen.
Hmm. So I'm just writing out some notes here. So not only are you basically carrying beliefs around staying small, but those beliefs are also rooted not just in like this makes me a good person, but it's actually a way to survive and not let anything happen. So they're actually security and safety beliefs.
Yeah, because if I don't do anything, I can't get attacked
Correct.
or called out, like have anything negative said to me and get my feelings hurt.
Hmm.
Or, yeah, other people, I guess it's more of, yeah, the feelings hurt.
Yeah. So these are basically protective limiting beliefs
Yeah.
for you. Okay. And they basically create the definitions with which you're going to manifest the reality that is in front of you. So it is absolutely dangerous subconsciously to be big, to shine your light bright, to let a lot of people know about the great things you are doing and the great things you do. So it's like your business goals and your limiting beliefs are directly at odds with each other. And the net result of it is actually a perfect reflection of what you believe, which is I'm really good at what I do, but it's not really like a lot of people don't know about it. And I'm trying to scale my business and it's not exactly working. Why? Because it requires me to be bigger, louder, brighter, shinier.
Yeah.
So, what comes up for you with that reflection?
That's not what it would be. I mean, being louder, shinier, brighter, and letting people know will get me to where I want to be and just let people know. I mean, it's just whatever younger traits of me trying to protect myself that shouldn't, it's not what I want. Like, I don't see it happening, meaning, like, why should I care now? Because my ultimate goal is to help other people. And I can't do that if people don't even know what I do.
Correct. And I do agree with you that this is rooted in your past, right? But it's your past right now that's sabotaging your present.
Hmm.
So when I work with clients to overcome things like this, right? The first place we start is we look at what is currently happening through the lens of identity. So my working definition of identity is everything you think, feel, and act cumulatively creates the results that you experience. Okay, so right now, the results of the lack of scaling are actually a perfect representation of what you think, feel, and do. So your thoughts, knowingly or not, consciously or not, are basically rooted in, this distorted version of humbleness. Your feelings are general sense of hesitation and discomfort around anything that involves you playing big, right? And your actions are obviously going to look like self-sabotaging actions, like I procrastinate and I distract, but really it's that feast and famine we talked about at the beginning. I avoid, avoid, avoid. Why? Because avoidance is a great way to keep yourself safe and playing small. So it's actually in line with those beliefs. But then circumstances get so harsh that I'm like, crap, like I really got to now get this thing done. Otherwise, there's going to be bigger consequences than this sense of playing small. So then I, in panic and in fear, do all sorts of actions and then go back to baseline of avoidance. Cumulatively, like that's how I would look at how your identity is creating the results that you have right now. So what comes up for you when I reflect that back?
That I've been in that cycle of do, panic, reflect, and then go back and then try to like build myself up again and get that. I do get spurts of that confidence, and then the like, fear base seeps in.
Well, is it actual real confidence or is it more desperation that I got to get out of this situation?
No, I would say it's confidence where I like do some internal work with myself and,
Hmm.
release that and know it's or it's more of getting back to that base of why am I doing this? My why of
Hmm.
like this is all out of love. This is all to show people the way this journey I've gone through and how much it helped. And like
Got it.
that's what I hold on to when it's the burst through and get these things done.
So
And then the
when you
identity.
have to burst through and get these things done. So it's basically like I avoid, avoid, avoid. Then I use these inner tools to connect back to my why and burst through, get the things done. Then you're saying the cycle repeats again.
Well, that's what I've caught because I'm trying to say like launch, you know, this program. So there's just a lot of work going behind it
Hmm.
to create landing pages, content, whatever that is. And in the moment, I'm very fulfilled in doing it. And so it's giving me energy to do all of that. And then it's the,
Right. But if you just pause right there, and I'm not cutting you off just because it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
important, it's much more like the yellow flags that pop up in what you're
Okay.
saying. All of the tasks you just mentioned, I'm creating landing pages, I'm doing all of the things to like put all the programs together. None of those require visibility,
Mm.
right? I
Yeah.
get bursts of energy and I connect back
And
to my
that's what I like
why.
enjoy doing it.
Right. And I enjoy doing it. Why? Because there's actually nothing that is triggering the limiting beliefs and fears from your past. Like if you could spend your whole life
Mm.
in the background creating funnels, etc., and people magically find them, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So like I get energized essentially when the work is safe, but as soon as the work isn't safe, that's where the patterns start. And it's not safe in anything involving showcasing my magnificence. So what lands there?
No, that's right. Because right when it comes to I launch and put it out into the world, that's where that fear comes in. Right when
Correct.
it,
So that's basically a fear of launching and a fear of being seen.
mm,
Okay. So do you see how like right now it's not so much that you have, procrastination issues or like avoidance issues. Those are all coping strategies for the real issue, which is the parts of you, really the parts of your identity that are rooted in, I have to play small because that's where it's safest, the fear of being seen, and then basically the actions that basically come up and look like avoidance, procrastination, and then a lot of do that you're essentially having to force yourself.
yeah.
So again, what's landing with all that?
Well, I keep going back to it, and I don't know if this, I mean, ties in is just why can't I be the person that just puts their offers out, put themselves out, and they're so unapologetically like, this is me, this is the offer, and I think it's amazing. And I'm not to say that I have to be like loud and bold about it, but why can't I be that? But I also think there's part of me that when I used to see, maybe not people presenting offers or anything, but other people who are just walk into the room and they're just loud and them, I almost, I'm like, oh, not to be, not, I'm not being judgmental, but I just don't, I'm like, do you want to tone it down a bit? And that's what's like coming to me,
Right.
which,
Because you can't be triggered if you're not loaded. And that loud person who's unapologetic about who they are, and I'm not getting into like if it's bravado and it's their like thing or if it's
yeah,
like legitimate confidence, like it's a totally different discussion.
yeah,
But the observation of somebody unapologetically being like shining bright, that is an automatic trigger to the parts of you that want that but don't feel safe in doing that. Okay. And to answer your question of like, why can't I just be that person? So, in some ways, I'm going to answer it with a question. So, if I asked you, are you a thief? What would you say?
no,
Okay. Do you steal?
no,
Okay. Do you have to try and hype yourself up not to steal?
no,
Do you have to visualize and journal and meditate and kind of get yourself into a flow-like state to not steal?
no,
No. It's like not stealing is a simple expression of who you are. Like you are an honest person, you don't steal. That is part of my identity. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to work hard for it. I don't have to try because I don't have stealing thoughts. I don't have any urges to steal anything. Then obviously you're not going to do and act on any stealing or dishonest type things. It's a no-brainer. You don't think about it. It's who you are. Now, if you contrast that to how much effort it takes to simply do one action that involves you being highly visible, it's like there is so much effort to get there. So you have one example where your identity is serving you very much. Like, I'm not a thief, I don't steal. I don't have to think about it, just simply who I am. So everything reflects, like my world is reflective of like, I don't go to jail, I don't have any of the negative consequences of that. And on the opposite side, the reason I have to work hard at trying to be visible is because that tension, that resistance is the gap between the identity that you currently hold and the actions that are required for you to actually do those things. You're actively going against who you are in that moment. So your past has made you that moment, the reinforcement in your thoughts, the feelings, the actions, all of that. So we have to work at being visible, but not have to work at not stealing. So what lands for you there?
So that's just not who I was for, 40 something years of,
You mean like somebody who's like comfortably visible is not who I was for
yeah,
40 years? Yeah,
like,
okay. Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, meaning like you're reflecting on the work that is put into it versus like, can I just switch, switch a switch?
I mean, if you could just switch a switch, you wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, yes, I do think in terms of how much time it can take you to change versus like I've spent decades reinforcing this pattern. Can it change quickly? Yeah, it absolutely can change quickly. But the process of it in the way that I operate is through this identity up level, right? So it's healing your past so it's not sabotaging your present. So right now, there is a lot of things from your past of which we've identified a lot of the limiting beliefs around them. They are sabotaging your present. The other part, which we haven't really touched on, but in the process is like you got to learn how to separate the feeling from the action. So there is a childlike part of you that when the fear of visibility and magnificence strikes, it hijacks what you do. And therefore you end up acting not from your adult self, but actually from your child self. Right. And the third part is actually just embodying the adult part of you that knows exactly what you need to do to move forward. And through a series of like, different practices and things to embody that inside of your business so you can lead your business as the adult with all of your experiences, not as the scared child still living in the past. So what um like what lands for you with all that?
And I didn't even think till today that there was that child in me that was operating or in that seat when I'm trying to do these things where I'm trying to show up and be visible
Yeah.
or telling myself I need to.
And most people don't. And I know like this isn't your first foray into potentially even inner child work or like healing modalities, etc. I'm sure stuff like that comes up even in the work that you do. I think you probably address these things in areas that weren't your business, right? Like usually when I have business owners on here, it's like they will have addressed it in relationships, they will have addressed it kind of in their own like personal lives. But it's like until there's an issue in my business, I don't really think about these things until I can't figure out this like business issue. And this
Mhm.
is where really what my work is about is like, are my business problems actually me problems? And when you know all of the business stuff, you've taken the business courses, you know what you need to do, you're creating the funnels, you have the skills, but they can't be put together. That's usually when we're like, okay, well, if it's not a skill gap, then it's something that we're bringing to the table. And I think what I'm inviting you to with this whole process is to basically see that the me problem here is the identity piece, my limiting thoughts, my fears, and then the coping actions that they produce. So again, what lands with all of that?
Well, you were right because in the line of work I do, I've done so much work on myself, and so many things come up as I was launching this business that I've worked on. But yet, I guess the way you presented it, it is just the identity piece and making me see things in a different way where I was maybe trying to, it's like I've worked on other limiting beliefs, but I think when this has been keeping me here, you know, I got to start, I have my clients, I'm good, but I'm trying to like now go here, which is the whole like present bigger.
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I still, I can't just, you know, get to that next level up, level up.
Yeah. And that's where your leadership now begins to take shape. So like your current identity is one that can't meet the demands that your business needs to go to the next level. That gap is what I call the leadership gap. Like, who am I going to be and how am I going to step up to close that leadership gap? Many times with healers, because they're so busy healing everybody else, they oftentimes neglect themselves. So that's a pretty common thing. And when you are in the work and you know so much, we always forget that like it's really hard to see the building when you're on the balcony. And this is why I always encourage like coaches need coaches, not just on the business side, but on this side. Because especially if you are in this work, it's like you're always in everybody else's stuff, but we always neglect or bypass because it's generally easier, and that's the self-sabotage in us. It's like, oh, but then there's all these other pieces here that like don't look there. Like just focus on like the next marketing thing. Like if you probably build this funnel, it'll all be okay. Right. And I've had a lot of clients and a lot of guests that have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars chasing the next thing, not realizing that, oh, so this whole time I'm actually just scared to whatever, be visible, charge more, ask for more, people please. Like there's a whole lot of things that can happen on that end. So I guess it's just kind of normalized experience where like you're in good company, but like what this is doing is it's presenting you with the gap of what's required to scale for you right now.
Yeah,
So again, anything
makes a
else
lot of sense.
that
That's
comes up for you with that?
And I'm just taking it all in because now it's like this, like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
crap, but not crap.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Right?
But yeah,
If you need to swear as
truth,
well, by all
truth.
means, yeah, you can do so as well. Um, okay, so one of the things that I always like to do then is it's one thing to like recognize and have awareness of like what's going on and where's the root of the pattern. But then I always like to like zoom out and see, okay, well, how is this actually affecting you? So if all these visibility fears, all these limiting beliefs, like how is this actually negatively affecting your business?
Well, it's just causing me not, I've hit a wall where I need to, in my goals and even in my financial goals, and then not hitting them has also like brought down my confidence at the same time. So it's just kind of kept me in this spiral.
So not like hitting that wall. So basically a revenue ceiling, I'm assuming is what you mean by wall. Yeah. So hitting the revenue ceiling, especially in terms of my revenue or financial goals, that's a direct effect of these limiting patterns. Personally, that also affects my confidence. How else does it ripple out into your life that you might not have been thinking about before? Like basically, like does this like does your suffering create suffering in other people as well?
Well, I mean, that's just in my back to the revenue stream of a household income and being supportive with my husband is very supportive, my partner. Yet me wanting to step up and contribute equally, you know, to whatever our endeavors, our income, our money pot. Yeah. A lot and I'm like equating this to the revenue stream is now I'm like that has become a way I'm looking at success, which not always the time, and not always to like pair it with the dollar signs. But for now, with this business, because I decided to go into this and walked away from my other entrepreneurial endeavors, like I wanted to make my passion and my gifts like a viable business where I can keep pursuing this because I'm bringing in the revenue I need to bring in.
Yeah. It's not, the money isn't the success. There's more elements to the success, but it is a measure of, in your instance, like it's reflective of the identity and how far it can take me. Like
Yeah,
it's a
especially
direct
if,
measure.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say if especially if I like know how much it is to have XYZ lifestyle, right? And I want to contribute to that, I need to sync up my business goals with that to meet it. Otherwise, it's like, oh, do I have to take time away and continue this other side business that I had that I knew would bring in a revenue stream already? Do I have to, start up my agency again or anything else instead of like being able to solely focus my time and energy on this?
Right. So basically, there's an opportunity cost of it as well, where it's okay, well, I'm directly not hitting financial goals. That tends to also seep into just the lifestyle that we want as a family. Then the opportunity cost of it also is if I'm wasting a lot of time dealing with these patterns and trying to cope with these patterns and it's not bringing in money,
Mm.
ironically, I'm also taken away from another business I don't really want to do, but I know it's more reliable, at least bringing in money. So it's kind of becomes this cyclical hamster wheel of staying underneath that revenue ceiling.
Yeah. And but then the other revenue streams are not things that I'm passionate about anymore. That's not my life purpose. So it'll draw away from me scaling that. So
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. So what would your life look like if you eliminated these limiting patterns?
the idea I have of how I'm scaling and with this business, I would every week would just be this my ideal life of a balance of time with family or my other endeavors plus business, but not in this, not the word stress, but relying on the business to bring the revenue. It's more of like it's naturally happening and I'm loving what I do and I'm helping people, so that naturally will bring in the revenue. And so that I'm in this not panic do mode or like a desperation on bringing in whatever revenue stream. Everything is just in flow and I'm like living my life happily, serving people, getting rewarded for that, like just feeling very in balance and in flow during my week.
Yeah. So basically, where right now there's a lot of that push energy to push up against these identity pieces and like do the actions. If I were to eliminate these patterns that cause me to basically shrink and fear visibility, it sounds to me like you'd have a lot more joy, peace, and enthusiasm to just, wow, this is like my gift to the world. Like I get to share it passionately out to everyone. Is
Yeah.
that
And
accurate
I
for you?
even think time because I'm spending a lot of time thinking of alternate ways to scale the business. And if I have inflow right already, like the plan I have, that it's to work only X amount of hours a week in that,
Right.
to
So
build that
time I
up.
waste
So
coping with this, I could reallocate to either growing the business enthusiastically or spending it with my
just
family.
myself, yeah, time to myself. And
Got it. Okay. Anything else along those things?
yeah, that's, you
So
hit it with the joy, the just being in joy and ease.
yeah, because I was going to ask you, okay, like who would you have to be able to enthusiastically run your business in this way? So you said, okay, being in more joy would be one thing. So what, in your words, like what do you have to evolve past? Who do you have to be? What do you have to change to be more in that state?
I call it like the quiet confidence of, I mean, that is just me, who I am. I'm very confident in the work I do and that I am here to help others. So there's no imposter syndrome in, that sense, but it's also being it's kind of like being that proud and excited to talk to people and share what I do and share myself, whether it's on screen or in person through a platform. But it's being excited about that and finding joy in that.
Okay. And how do you think you could grow your business if you were excited to be on screen, excited to talk about what you do in person, proud to share what you do, and exuding quiet confidence in every way you showed up?
It's just the more I let people know what I do, the more I think it's a lot of it is a numbers game and it's energy. It's also energy of being in that magnetism and an attraction, and even letting just the universe know, okay, I'm ready to be seen. I say it, but then I don't show the actions, but now I'm ready and I truly believe like having that co-creation with the universe is like, okay, Heceliza finally realizes like her true self, and now we can help like align everything. But if I, in my subconscious heart of hearts, still underneath believe I'm not worthy, it's kind of like the universe saying, well, she's not ready yet because she's still playing small. So
Correct.
small
Right.
results are what you're gonna get.
Yeah. It's basically in my, anyway, when I describe this dichotomy between, well, I intentionally know where I need to go, I intentionally know why I need to be here, like I understand exactly why I need to be there, I understand why it's not happening. I always like to use the analogy of the rider and the elephant. So if you know anything about, like, sometimes this is used in like habit change as well, but it's like basically if I look at my conscious mind as the rider, it's got this better perspective, it understands a lot of things, it's got a better viewpoint of what the path is like, it understands what's needed, yet it's sitting on top of this elephant. And no matter how much, like, sometimes, the rider thinks if I just like smack the elephant with this stick or I like pull it towards a different direction, I tell it to go somewhere, it's going to go. And when it does, that's exactly where the elephant moves and the rider moves with the elephant, right? But our subconscious is like the elephant. It's much larger. It's directly related to the path. It's what moves us forward. And if it doesn't feel safe to go ahead on the path that the rider sees, it's like you can do whatever beating or, pushing you want to do of the elephant. Like if that elephant doesn't want to move, like you're not moving the elephant. And this pattern that you're describing of like, even when I talk about, I want this like joyous experience of growing my business, I understand that that's what you consciously want. And I understand that it's aligned with your purpose. I understand it's aligned with your desire. And it's a beautiful vision to work towards. It's like your issue isn't the clarity of that. It's actually of the elephant. So your rider wants to go right, but your elephant's going left. And in the middle is all the business results you're getting right now, which is essentially revenue ceiling, right? So that whole process of the identity up level, that's basically to shift the elephant towards the same direction as the rider. Now it's a smoother ride forward. That's exactly the reason why when I asked you, are you a thief? You're like, no, it's a ridiculous question. Why would I steal? Well, because subconsciously and consciously, both the rider and the elephant are both going the same direction. So there's no push pull. So I don't have to work not to steal. I don't have to work to like resist the urge to shoplift or whatever. The rider and the elephant are in the same direction. There's just no we just go. So again, tell me what lands for you with that.
No, everything's just resonating. And now I'm like imagining myself either staying stagnant and go like this going or going this way. But usually it's like my subconscious is like not moving where I'm trying to like go, you
Yeah,
know, with
yeah,
my actions.
100%. So
Yeah.
anyway, I think it's pretty clear kind of like where you're at. I want to be conscious of time. So in terms of awareness around what's holding you back, is this helpful or do you feel like there's still something left outstanding?
No, this was very helpful to just identify it. Now I'm like, oh, What is what is the other girl doing now? That's my intro.
But yeah, that's a totally different question, but a valid
Yeah.
question as well. So, all right. Well, listen, if that's great for you with regards to kind of identifying what's holding you back, um, I want to thank you for allowing yourself to be seen in this way. And floor is yours to just let everybody know, where to find you, who's the best person to find you. Here is your ability to be seen as an invitation to just show your own magnificence, and floor is yours for that.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm here to really empower other people to like be their own healer, strengthen their intuition, tap all the answers are within us, just guiding other people along and how to do that. And you can reach me on my website. Lots of information on there. It's my first name.com, so heceliza.com. And I'm most active on social media. So or on Instagram. So I do love curating and stuff. I just had to work on getting my face on there more, but it's at Heceliza underscore energy healing. And I have a few Reiki trainings coming up next month in August online. So anyone in the world can get certified. And then in person, I'm local here in Long Beach, California.
Awesome. Love it. Well, as always, we'll include that in the show notes. So Hesselisa, thank you very much for being on. And for everybody else listening, we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for all the insight, Drasco. Thank you.